Hi, I'm Don Purdum at Unveil the Web. So today I want to talk with you about basic online marketing. How does the internet work for business? So in our context today, we're going to be talking a little bit more about strategies and really what are the different means or ways out there that we can do marketing to reach our target audience. So again, my name's Don Purdum. I'm the owner-founder of unveiltheweb.com. I'm a consultant, coach, author, or speaker. And, of course, I do a lot of blogging and podcasting as well. And you can see my new book over here on the side, The Shift, Making the Fast-Paced Transition from Mass Marketing to Context Marketing. So we're going to have a little bit more about this conversation about how to make that shift. So before you really get into watching this video, I recommend you watch the video that you see here first on the fundamentals of online marketing. It'll be on the specific page you can click to right here at the bottom in the event that you came to this video first before getting to that one. So you can get the other video on my webpage of what you're looking for in terms of finding the fundamental aspects of online marketing. And on that particular video, I go more into detail about what are the fundamental things that you have to do? What are the mass marketing things you have to get rid of in your mindset? And what are 5 questions that you have to process through in order to be successful in online marketing before you get to this stage? So in that video, I deal with a formula that goes like this: clarity plus focus equals execution. In that video, I deal exclusively with gaining clarity around your business, because if you don't have it, the technology will expose it, and it will only hurt you, not help you. So you'll want to watch that video, because in this one, we're going to get more into the focus side, where we're looking at all the different types of strategies that a business could consider for their marketing efforts online. So before we jump into this, let's talk about what the internet is not. It is not a mass marketing tool. Let's really focus on getting that clear. The internet is really a tool about one-on-one relationships. And as I discussed in that previous video around clarity, the more clear you are around your business, the more you realize that when you know what tangible values you offer your clients, what problems each one of those tangible values solves, and then who you specifically solve those problems for, you can really get to the crux of the internet of being able to communicate one problem for one person. And that's all you want to do. If you're doing more than that, you're hurting yourself. The search engines don't know how to index that. The people reading your site get confused because you may be messaging more than one thing at a time. Or if you're writing a blog article in particular on your website, that's definitely going to be true. So the beauty of a blog, the beauty is we're going to talk about in a second, is that you never really get a chance to get this wrong. And you have an unlimited pool of opportunities to have conversations with your prospects and customers around. So let's just get that really clear now. The internet is not a mass marketing tool. Do not treat it like you would a direct mail piece or a telemarketing piece or a TV commercial or a radio commercial or any of these other types of things. It's not a mass marketing tool. It's a relationship building tool, and let's really get clear about that. So what is the internet? Well, it's a tool that gives you an unprecedented opportunity to connect with people who need what you have to offer. However, in order for this to work, like I said again in that previous video, you're going to have to separate your business from your competition. And you do that by establishing your business as being competent, relevant, inspiring, and unique. When someone gets to your website, they have to be able to see right out of the gate something different about you. There's got to be a compelling reason for them to want to make that transition from consuming your free content to buying you. And that is really the distinguishing factor, because if you don't do that, then what you're going to end up doing is competing on price, and there's always going to be somebody online that's either free or much less expensive than you. So we really need to nail through that. What this video is going to cover is how the internet holistically works to deliver your message once you have laid that previous foundation in the other video. Okay? So that's why if you're still hanging around here and you haven't watched that other video, you need to watch it first, because if you don't, this one's not going to help you. So how does the internet work for business? We're going to use a bicycle wheel here to illustrate this. And some of you, if you're watching this and you've been through this before, then this will be a really good refresher for you. This is a presentation I give every single one of my new customers, or when they're prospects still. And it's part of my sales process to educate people on how does all this work together. So in the center of your bicycle wheel, this is the center of your world. This is where everything happens for you. Is your website, blog, or podcast. Now, you may or may not have a podcast, but you should have a blog. At least most businesses should have a blog, and by the time we're done with this wheel, it ought to make some sense why. But this is the center of your world. This is the only space on the internet that you truly own. Everything else is just rented space out there. This is not rented space. You get full control over what is being presented here, unlike everywhere else out there on the internet. Because once it's on social media or it's in other environments, on forums and other places like that, then guess what? It doesn't really matter. They get to say what they want, and you don't get to control it. But you do get to control what's said right here in this space through your website. So you want to make sure that at a minimum you have a website and it has a blog. If you're a business, what I will share with you right now is maybe a little different than some people think. I don't think that your homepage should be your blog. I think your homepage should be your homepage. It should exclusively say right out of the gate, this is who I am, these are the problems I solve, and this is who I solve them for. That's all your homepage should say. Now, under the fold, if you want to add some links to the RSS feed and stuff like that, which we'll talk about later, to blog articles, then that's okay. But above the fold, no. It needs to be really clear about who you are, what you, and it doesn't need to be clear about what you do. It needs to be clear about who you do it for. Again, go back to the other video if you don't remember that. So, that's the center of your online world, your website, blog, and your podcast. Coming out of one of those spokes is social media. Now, all of us that are familiar with social media know that what it's designed to do is build relationships. Again, this is not a selling tool when you get on social media. If this is something you're trying to sell people through, I wish you luck. It doesn't work that way anymore because people don't buy from those that they don't feel are competent or that they don't trust yet. So it's all about building that set of competencies with someone and then giving them the reason to buy you. So that means you're going to have to go through the process of engaging with people. If you're just going to have a social media presence and post your stuff, then you're going to have a hard time gaining traction and followers because social media is all about interaction. And if you're not interacting, then it's not going to help you. And I don't mean just interacting with your own stuff. I mean interacting with other people and their stuff. So, what might fall underneath social media? Let's talk about some of the obvious ones. Facebook. We all know about Facebook, right? It's the single largest social media site in the world with billions of followers, and it's a great place for your business to be. However, the caveat with Facebook now is that they want you to pay for access to their audience. Those days of giving it free are over. Now, you can earn the audience, but that's still going to be a lot of work. And what I mean by earn the audience is you've got to have a lot of people coming and engaging with you on your content. It can't just be liking it. They've got to be leaving comments and you having a conversation with them and them sharing it. There's a lot of stuff that has to go on in there. So it's no longer just post it and Facebook will let the world see it. They'll let a few people see it, but if the people that see it aren't interested and don't click through or don't comment or don't share, then it's not going to go anywhere. You're going to have to pay for access to your audience. And that's just the way most social media is going to go now. And to be honest, if you sit back and think about it, that's fair. And the reason it's fair is because they're business too, just like you. You don't want to give your whole business away. So we shouldn't necessarily expect Facebook to either. But that's kind of been a common thing in the business world, especially among small business owners. We just don't want to pay for stuff. We got used to the free. Well, the free's over. You don't get to advertise free in your newspapers or on the radio or TV or anywhere else. So quite honestly, you shouldn't expect that from Facebook either. Twitter. Now, if you're not using Twitter, you're missing out. Twitter has become one of my favorite sites, and the reason why is just because of the freedom to have conversations around sharing content. It's very different than Facebook. It's very fast-flowing, but the neat thing about Twitter is I've had the opportunity to be included in a lot of lists, and when I get put in list, my content gets distributed through list, and then people see that, and then they follow me, and then they reshare my content, and that's really neat. Now, the problem with Twitter, everything has its problem, right? The struggle with Twitter is that just because they're sharing your content around doesn't necessarily mean they're clicking through to your website or your blog. And so that's a distinguishing thing. Now, the other side of that coin, too, is that if you do Twitter right, it may be one of the single best ways to drive targeted traffic to your website. So don't minimize that. But you have to do the work in your foundations, again, back to that previous video, so you know who to look for and how to talk to people on Twitter that are looking for what you're looking for what you have to say. So we're kind of back around to that conversation again. LinkedIn. Man, I love LinkedIn. I hope you do too. If you're a business, you got to be on LinkedIn, because even if you're a business to consumer, not a business to business, you still need to be on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people that are professionals on there that are looking for your product or service, and it's just a great place to hang out. There's a lot of different strategies you can employ, again, around Facebook, around Twitter, or around LinkedIn. I'm not going to get into specific strategies on how to do all of these things, except to say if you develop those strategies, it can be an incredibly powerful tool. Google+, same thing on Google+. And again, it's not as popular as the first three, but I'll tell you, for me personally, that's where I have a lot of the traction I'm gaining right now is on Google+. I have some great conversations, especially with influencers. For whatever reason, it seems to me that influential bloggers are hanging out on there, and we're going to talk about that later. And there's some neat opportunities to build some relationships and connect with people there. And then, of course, YouTube. Never neglect the power of YouTube. Don't forget, it's owned by Google, so it's the second largest search engine out there. And but it is a social media platform because people can leave comments, they can share, it can get distributed across Google+ or even embedded in other websites. It's pretty amazing how things can happen quickly if you do video and you do it well. Now, here's the thing. There's 300 plus or more, maybe 400 or 500 different social media sites, from things like Reddit and StumbleUpon, and my goodness, the list can go on, right? There's a lot of different social media applications out there. The key is that once you know what your platforms are and where your audience is at, then we can go to these social media platforms and find people to engage with and build relationships through that will build influence for you, because that's the name of the game online, is building influence that will lead you to sales. And that all happens through those forms right there of social media. Blog directories. Now, this is if you're blogging for business. There's a great way to distribute your content, but again, this has got to be a community building thing. Blog directories like Tribber. Tribber, I'm never sure which one that is, to be quite honest. I'm sure someone can correct me. But Tribber is really a cool site because you can plug your RSS feed into it and it'll auto-populate your post into there. But this is where a lot of influential bloggers hang out at. You can find bloggers from all different kinds of genres, not just in marketing, but in business or different consumer stuff or people that love their pets even. There's just all kinds of different directories in Blogger or in Tribber for bloggers that can help you find out who people are that are influencers and connect with them. And then a website that I also like is kinged.com. And now again, that's almost exclusively for marketers. So if you're a marketer or a business owner and you're wanting to learn more about marketing or connect with influential bloggers in the marketing world, this is a great place for you to go and get plugged in. And there's a lot of interesting people on there sharing a lot of good content. So it's a good place for you as well. And when I first started my blog, a lot of my initial contacts came through Kinged, and it was a very, very powerful tool for me. Online networking. Now, we're going to hang out for just a moment right here, folks, because this is where the magic's at. See, social media is a part of networking, but not necessarily. You may connect with people who may like your stuff, read your stuff, check you out, leave, never come back. They're not influencers. In my other video, where we were talking about the foundations of online marketing, I mentioned in there that the second core audience you have is finding those who serve the same audience you do, but in a different way, and connect with them. So this is the aspect of online networking. And so how do you find people like that? Where are they hanging out at? Well, you can maybe look at some Twitter chats. It's a really powerful place to find people that online are having conversations around really specific things. And usually it's like a 30-minute or hour pre-planned thing. There's some things out there that, if you just go Google Twitter chats, you can get some sites that'll tell you about upcoming scheduled chats, and then you can join those chats when they start. And it's a great way for you to build your reputation over time and build a really good audience just through Twitter chats. But it's a great way to network and collaborate prospectively. Blog commenting. This one is my favorite. See, the thing is that you don't know it all. And your influencers that are out there with massive audiences that serve the same audience you do, but in a different way, they blog. And the way to know if they're an influencer or not, if these are people that you should connect with, is by taking a look at their blog. And if they're getting comments on their blog that are substantive, I don't mean the type of comments where they may have 3 or 4 comments to say, hey, thank you so much for posting this today. It was really helpful. And that's not helpful at all. And it's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for really detailed conversations that are going on between readers and the blogger and the business owner, entrepreneur, etc., right? All probably the same thing. Nonetheless, I'm looking for deep conversations in blog comments. And then when I engage with them, I cannot tell you how many amazing people I have met through blog comments that have helped catapult my online presence to a whole new level that ultimately, as you'll see, have a pretty powerful influence in my world. So blog commenting, don't neglect this. It could be a great strategy for you. How about social media engagement and shares? Oh, yeah. Well, we've already talked about that in social media, how powerful that can be. Engagement and shares on social media, however, does not necessarily translate to people coming back to your website and blog, but it could. And for some reason, it skips straight ahead to personal emails. But we definitely want to have an opportunity where we started connecting with these influencers to maybe reach out with them with an email and let them know how valuable their content is to your thinking and to your building up of your business, and just let them know that you're there to serve and help them. And, of course, what that could lead to then is you mentioning them on your blog. Now, social media shares and engagement is really good and helpful, and people love that. But you know what gets an influential blogger excited? When you share an idea that they had inside your blog article where in context it makes sense to do that. That is a powerful way of networking because you're giving them valuable links and other people will click through to their website and to discover them. So you're going to want to think about how, if I'm reading this article, how do I catalog that just for a remembrance spot? And then when you're writing an article over here, hey, wait, I remember this article over here said that. I'm going to take a quote from it, quote it, and then link it back to their website. And here's the cool part. When you do that, then you go and you tag them inside the social media environment so that they know you said something. And so does their audience. It's a great way to network back and forth. So don't neglect mentioning them in your blog. How about referrals? You definitely want to earn referrals, right? And you want to give referrals. It's been a great thing for me to have several influential bloggers that have sent business referrals to me. And they're such an easy way to gain business because you don't have to worry so much about building competency because you built competency with the influential blogger. So that's a really good point I want to make here real quick. I was just thinking to myself, well, how do I define an influential blogger? I'll tell you how I define it. I don't define it as the people that have hundreds of thousands of followers or even millions of followers. They're not interested in me. I can't bring them any substantive value right now. But there are people that are getting 400, 500, 1,000, 10,000 visitors a week on their website. And when they say and ask their audience to do something, you see them respond and do it. You see them leaving blog comments. You see the social shares happening. You see the relationships that have been developed around that blogger. And that's how you know that's an influencer. And those are the people you want to connect it with. So I don't necessarily define it as the really big heavy hitter, multimillionaire types. It could be just someone who has a great audience that responds when people ask them to do something. Now, with that said, you definitely want referrals from those people, and you want to give them referrals. So this is why it's important to get to know them. Guest blogging. This comes out of online networking, okay? When you spend enough time building the right relationships with the right people that have audiences, guess what naturally happens? They will ask you to consider blogging on their website. Now, this is really cool. I've had people where I even just leave blog comments, and they come back and say, you know what, I really like what you had to say here. Would you be willing to write an article on my blog and expand upon this? And they'll put that in the comments section. And then I'll put my email address and tell them, let's have a conversation. And before you know it, we're writing the article, we're distributing it to them, and it's on their website. And now they're building backlinks to me, and then when I go back into my blog, I'm going to reference that article because I want my audience to go read it as well. So social media, blogging, all of this creates this networking environment that creates new opportunities. And folks, this is good business. This is how the real business world works. Why is it we get online and we stop doing the stuff that made us successful offline? These are the same principles. They're just different tools, right? So guest blogging. Oh, wrong way. Guest blogging. Video. Now, folks, if you're not doing video, you're hurting yourself. You can do really, really simple videos if you even just have a smartphone, whether it's an Android or an iPhone. You can do quick little videos. And what's cool about it is you can distribute your video to YouTube. We've already talked about that in social media, right? But video is really something that people are consuming more and more and more of. Video is powerful. Just like you're watching this and you're still captivated by what I'm sharing with you because you want to know what's coming next. You can see it. You can interact with it at some level, right? In a way that you can't that's just audio, and in a way that you can't that's just text. And what's cool is that I can expand upon it too in a video where I couldn't have necessarily done that in another capacity. So YouTube, Vimeo, that's just another format. You might want to consider it. It's a really good one. But the point is that video is a really powerful marketing tool. And you can use it when you're networking with people. I mean, I have taken video and said, hey, let's just stop and do a quick 2-minute video together. I want to introduce you to my audience. And I say, hey, Susan Bailey, tell me, what business are you really in? And then she tells me. And it's awesome. And it gets 100 and something views or more. So, you know, it's a way to continue that networking, but it's also a way to build your brand. Google Hangouts. Now, Google Hangouts can be a really powerful tool for you as well because you can do them live and you can schedule shows and you can invite guests on. And it's just another way of, if your audience is hanging out in Google and Google Hangouts and videos through Google+, it's another way to connect with that audience. And what's really cool is when you're done doing these interviews with people or having conversations with them, it'll save it automatically to your YouTube channel. How about interviews? Again, this will come out of online networking and blogging, generally speaking, or out of podcast and video. But interviews are so cool. I just had a guy from London, well, he's not from London, but he's from England. Just the other day, we did a call together and an interview, and it was live. And we talked about some of my ideas around the difference between mass marketing and how it's getting businesses in trouble online, and what are some solutions to that. And it was like an hour conversation. We had a great audience. It was a great time together. And because we didn't know each other, now we have a relationship that we've established through that interview. And I've done, you know, dozens of these. I do them with SEM Rush regularly. I did a web, well, you'll see that really wasn't an interview, but I did a podcast with them last week that's not online just yet, but should be shortly. And in that interview, what was really cool is that they got to ask me questions that exposed my expertise to their whole audience of tens or hundreds of thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs. So that's pretty cool, right? How about ebooks? You know, one of the best ways to establish yourself as a leading authority is to write a book. And these don't have to be massive books. What's really cool about an ebook is there's lots of different strategies about how to use them, whether you're going to use it for free or you're going to put it on Amazon and charge a price, but there's other strategies on how to create ebooks really easily, and that's something that I work with my clients, is to say, okay, how do we repurpose content? How might we use some of this other content and build something up? But ebooks are a great tool to establish your authority. Blog RSS syndication. Now, what this simply means is most blogs, or all blogs I know of, can create what's called an RSS feed. Real simple syndication is what RSS means. So what it is it creates this way for people to access this RSS feed, and it will give them instant notifications if they subscribe to it. So they may be using an RSS feed that populates on their desktop whenever their favorite writer or podcaster or whatever, whenever they create a new article, it'll ping them on their desktop, or it'll ping their email and send them an email, or it will automatically populate in things like Triber. Right? Triber can use an RSS feed. It auto-populates straight into their system. You don't even have to do anything. So if you use the RSS right and you tell people that it's there and you show them how to use it, for those who are savvy enough, it's really a great tool. It's also used by sites, like I said, like Triber, that would use it to share your content. So you don't have to go share your content anywhere. It just pulls it automatically from that RSS feed. Same thing with the podcast RSS feed. It'll do the exact same thing. iTunes works that way. So my podcast is on my website. Whenever I do a new podcast and save it, usually within a couple of hours, it automatically shows up on iTunes. It's just there. It just auto-populates into their system, and boom, there it is. Really cool. Same thing with a place like Stitcher. And then there are other podcast syndication sites that can do that as well. Webinars. Webinars can be a great way for you to gain an audience. A lot of people enjoy learning. These are educational tools, right? So this is, in some ways, I could have made this a webinar instead of a video. And who knows, maybe one of these days I will. But the fact of the matter is that a webinar is just an incredibly great way for you to gain an audience, because there are different places you can do webinars that will tell people, hey, there's a webinar on this topic. And if they're interested, they'll come watch your webinar. Email. Are you utilizing email? I didn't for the longest time. I wish I had done it sooner. But email is a great way to tell the people that not what you do. What email is great for. David and Donna Merrill over at donnamerrilltribe.com exposed this to me and said that email is for those people that value your content so much that they're willing to give you the most intimate thing they have in that moment, and that's their email address. They actually want to hear from you. They actually want to learn more about you. So email is a great way for you to build an audience of people who are really interested in what you have to say and in what you have to sell. But the thing is that you don't want to just have people being thrown into your email. As David Merrill said, you want to keep that clean. You want to leave it for the people that are actually engaging with you and are interested in you. And if you've got somebody sitting on there 6 months, maybe give them a warning or something that, hey, we're going to remove you from the list. But there's a whole lot of different strategies around email. And again, the point of this video isn't necessarily to give you strategies, but to show you how the internet holistically works together. Public relations. PR, right? There are different types of PR websites where you could do, you can make journalists aware of what you're doing. When you're announcing new products or services or ebooks or all of these different types of things that are going on. It's a great way for you also to get your name out there in the business community. And then there are different types of ways to do public relations. So I'll leave that more towards another day to talk specifically about PR and how to do PR. But it's a tool that you definitely might want to consider. Online masterminds. Now, a mastermind is a group of people. It could be 3 people. It could be 10 or 12 people. I wouldn't recommend going any higher than that. I think the smaller the better. I think that 3 to 8 is kind of a sweet spot personally. But a mastermind is where you get together once a week or a couple times a month or once a month. It could be for a half hour. It could be for 2 hours. But you're brainstorming and masterminding around a specific subject, and you're really going deep into your businesses and helping each other build them and learn. So It's a great way to connect with influencers again if you get accepted into masterminds, because only the people that are the best and only the people that are really interested in growing get involved in masterminds. So that might be a really useful tool for you. Online events. There are all kinds of things that go on, like summits and conferences. All of these things are online. You don't even have to leave your desk. And there are people having conversations through the forums that are in the conference pages or the chat sessions. And there's all different kinds of ways to learn and engage and meet new people. So these online events can be really powerful and really cool ways to meet people. I'm going to go back for just a second. I didn't add it, and for some reason I forgot about it, but forums. Forums can be a great place to meet people and have conversations and share your expertise with people. Forums can really expose your competency and skill set level in a way that some other things just can't, because you get real-time back and forth conversations going on. So if you can be involved in forums, be involved in them. And then realize that they're not for everybody and they do take a lot of work. Search engine optimization, most of us know what SEO is. When you sit back and you think about SEO, the SEO world has changed. It's not a world anymore where I just put keywords and stuff these things into my website and say, yahoo, people are coming. It just doesn't work that way anymore. Number one, there's too much competition out there. And number two, Google needs to find the best way to match the best content with the user who is searching for that content. So with that said, the way that they determine that now is very complex, but in its most simplest forms, yes, you've got to have the right phrases and words in your titles, in your content, but you also have to have a very good, strong internet presence. So there's your social media playing a role in it. Not heavily necessarily, but maybe. This is where your online networking comes in and people including you in their blogs and building links. And see, what Google's really looking for is this organic way of what we've been talking about today, of how you use social media and how you use directories and how you online and how you network online and guest blog and all of these different things, right? And there are all different types of strategies that you might use to help. And I'll give you a tip. One strategy is if you write one article and you give it a title, then do a video on that title. Do a podcast on that title. Do an ebook, a short ebook on that title. Do some things that utilize that title, because what happens is if somebody goes and searches for that content and they see on page one that you occupy half of the space for that content, do you think you might be an influencer in their mind around that content? You certainly might be. So with that said, you don't want to neglect that type of an opportunity. But again, it just depends on what your strategies are. And as I said, I'm going to restate it. The goal of this is not to tell you how to build the strategies right now. It's to give you an idea of how the internet holistically works together. And then finally is your offline networking. What you do offline should affect what happens online. So if you're at a networking meeting or you're at a chamber of commerce or somebody walks into your place of business or you're having lunch with someone, don't neglect the opportunity to connect with them on social media. Don't neglect to mention if you're having a conversation that you wrote a blog article around a very specific topic and that's something that maybe they want to know about and you'd love to email them and send them the link to that and then connect with them on social media as well. So it's all about engagement and relationship building. And here's the end point. Here's what we're looking for. We're looking for all these things to work around the edge of that wheel. And they all work with each other symbiotically to bring people back to your website, blog, or podcast. Again, your blog and your podcast is on your website. So it's all ultimately coming back to your website, right? So this is what we want. We want this holistic opportunity for people to engage with us. And that's what we're looking for. We want to get them off of these third-party platforms and back into where our space is being played, because that's where the magic happens. So let me ask you a couple questions. Are you ready to learn what business you're really in? Are you ready to learn who your specific audience is and learn how you can connect with them today. Are you ready to learn how to build the right strategies that are right for you and that can implement and execute with confidence? If so, I want you to jump over to unveiltheweb.com today. Connect with me there. Go through that blog article. Learn how I can help your business. And if you're already on the website, then here's the thing. I want to offer you a free 30-minute consultation. No obligation, no commitment. Just an offer to give you at least one thing you can use today to get you started in the right direction. And if you feel that we're a good fit for one another, then I would love to work with you. You can also get a copy of my book, The Shift, Making the Fast-Paced Transition from Mass Marketing to Context Marketing, right there on the website, and it'll take you to Amazon, where you can get that book for maybe 99 cents. I'm usually running a pretty cheap deal on that. So you can run over and get that book, because that's going to have the whole conversation around what are the 300 years of mass marketing been? What are the transition points that we need to make? What are some strategies to use in the internet? And if you need more than that, then by all means, I would love to work with you, and we can talk about what is the best way, the most efficient and most economical way for you to do that in terms of working with me to help you get where you need to be on the internet.